I did it. There we go. Now we're live streaming. Hi, everybody. Good evening. Good evening. We're here with ACIM Gather for A Course in Miracles, and we are studying the psychotherapy pamphlet from A Course in Miracles, which was kind of one of the last things that um, uh, Helen channeled. Karen has posted, one of the greatest sounds in the world is laughter. I'm guessing that was Bob Newhart, passed away today, and was such an inspiration for all of us with his stop it. I mean, seriously, how many times have we invoked Bob Newhart over the years? Because it's a perfect answer to all of the insanity that we go through in this world. And just using those two simple words, stop it, really can shift your thinking. So I love it. All right. Does anybody have anything they'd like to share before we start reading and talking?
I just want to say that ACIM sent a less than a minute audio to say how much he appreciated. And now that he's found our place on YouTube, he said, "My God, I love it. I can play it if you want."
Oh, that would be great. I would love that. Yes, please.
Uh, Hold on, just let me find it. All right, hold on.
Thank you, Dov, so much for last time. It was truly wonderful to see you all and be with you all. And I'm looking at your other YouTube videos, and I'm cleaning my house and listening to Karen speaking about defenselessness. It's like the wealth of knowledge you have on that channel. It's like I'm sort of mad that I didn't come across it before. Yeah, I saw myself that I subscribed when I searched for your channel. There was 2 channels, I think. One is no longer that active. So I was subscribed to the older one, but not the new one. Now I'm on the new one too. But Dov, I can't thank you enough. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
All right, that's it.
That's beautiful. Thank you, Dove. Thank you, Hakeem. Wow. Yeah. Well, I wish he found us sooner, but you know what? That's it. We don't advertise, so
It is what it is.
it is what it is. Exactly. All
It,
right.
this is your only business.
That's right. All right. We are going to start with a little levity in honor of our beloved therapist, comedian, Bob Newhart. I know you all have seen this, but
Just stop it.
Tell me about the problem that you wish to address.
Oh, okay. Well, I have this fear of being buried alive in a box. I start thinking about being buried alive and I begin to panic.
Has anyone ever tried to bury you alive in a box?
No, but truly thinking about it does make my life horrible. I mean, I can't go through tunnels or be in an elevator or in a house, anything boxy.
So what you're saying is you're claustrophobic.
Yes, that's it.
All right, well, let's go, Catherine. I'm going to say 2 words to you right now. I want you to listen to them very, very carefully. Then I want you to take them out of the office with you and incorporate them into your life.
Well, shall I write them down?
Well, if it makes you comfortable, it's just 2 words. We find most people can remember them.
Okay.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay, here they are. Stop it!
I'm sorry?
Stop it!
Stop it?
Yes, S-T-O-P, new word, I-T.
So, what are you saying?
You know, it's funny. I say 2 simple words, and I cannot tell you the amount of people who say exactly the same thing you're saying. I mean, this is not Yiddish, Catherine. This is English. Stop it.
So, I should just stop it.
There you go. I mean, you don't want to go through life being scared of being buried alive in a box, do you? I mean, that sounds frightening.
It is.
Then stop it.
I can't. I mean, it's been with me since childhood.
No.
My first guest is a good friend, I still think.
All right. I guess that it does go on longer than that, and I think we've probably all seen it, but that's the whole Course in Miracles, you know. I'm scared of what's gonna happen in the future. Well, stop it. I'm worried about what happened in the past. Well, stop it. And yeah, we say it, but who hears it? Rafi, please go ahead.
I have similar reactions when people talk to me and they say, "What do you think I should do?" And I say, "Nothing, just be." And they look at me like, What? Easiest thing in the world, just be. Mine wants to start incorporating that into how do I be? How do I do it? No, just be. And it's so difficult. Like he's saying, stop it. Simple as it can be. Okay, how can it just be? How can anything be easier than just be? And there's so much resistance to it. It's just when you say laughable, it's laughable.
Yeah, it's just insanity. And now, of course, as I read the Course in Miracles, I'm just seeing Jesus just saying that very thing. Like he gets not really frustrated with us, but he sure does poke at us like, what? Don't you get it? Oh, here I'm telling you exactly the words, exactly the words. Uh, and we're going, well, what does that mean? Uh, it just means stop it. Just do what he asks you to do, and we'll all be fine in Nene. All right, everybody. We last week were in this section here
Hi,
called
Christine.
Hello. Oh, Karen has her hand up. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, thanks, Rafi. Thanks, Lynn. I don't know where it is in the course, but somewhere in the course he says basically, when you're teaching a child, the best way to teach a child is not to say, don't do this, but rather say, do that. And you know where I'm talking about, Lynn?
Not really, but no, I don't.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look it up, but I mean, it makes really perfect sense because the ego doesn't want to hear you say, "Don't do this." And I like what Rafi said, "Just be." But when you say "stop it," it's like the ego does not want to hear that. I mean, so he says basically, don't say, "Don't do this." Just say, "Do that." I'll have to look it up for you. Thanks.
Let's see. Yeah, because yeah, look it up and let me know. All right. So let's see. Rafi has his hand up. Go ahead, Rafi.
Yeah, one other thing about that ego thing that she was just talking about. When you say to a kid or to anybody, do this or don't do that. The first thing, even if like a kid he's inside and he wants to go out and play. And the mother says, okay, listen, stop hanging around in here, go out and play. The first ego reaction is, don't tell me what to do. And it's that same kind of thing. But it's astounding. And if you'll stand back and watch it, you'll see there's a handful of those automatic ego reactions that make absolutely no sense at all because they're coming from an ego. But it's like it's a mechanical response. Even if it's something that a kid wants to do, that he really enjoys doing, if he's told to do it, a lot of time and even grown-ups, first thing out of their mouth is, even if they don't say it out loud, don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, and that's absolutely right. And why? Because we have an idea of ego autonomy. We want to be in charge. And even if I just, I know even if I want to do it, I'll say no, just because if I'm in that kind of a mood, which I have not done that for a long time, but I do remember as a child being very stubborn. Yeah. So okay, we are in the psychotherapy pamphlet, the patient therapist relationship and the ideal patient therapist relationship. I think we read the first two paragraphs last week, but I'm just going to read through them and we'll start on paragraph 3. But just because I can't remember, but I just looked and saw that we did up to there. So, okay, the ideal patient therapist relationship. Who then is the therapist and who is the patient? In the end, everyone is both. He who needs healing must heal. Physician, heal thyself. Who else is there to heal? And who else is in need of healing? Each patient who comes to a therapist offers him a chance to heal himself. He is therefore his therapist, and every therapist must learn to heal from each patient who comes to him. He thus becomes his patient. God does not know of separation. What he knows is only that he has one son. His knowledge is reflected in the ideal patient-therapist relationship. God comes to him who calls, and in him he recognizes himself. And so this is a relationship of oneness. When we come together, we, I mean, kind of corny, but we do actually complete each other when we come together because I learn who I am from you and you learn who you are from me, and together we learn who we are. So paragraph 2 says, think carefully, teacher and therapist, for whom you pray and who is in need of healing. For therapy is prayer and healing is its aim and its result. What is prayer except the joining of minds in a relationship which Christ can enter? This is his home, into which psychotherapy invites him. What is symptom cure when another is always there to choose? But once Christ enters in, what choice is there except to have him stay? There is no need for more than this, for it is everything. Healing is here, and happiness and peace. These are the quote unquote symptoms of the ideal patient therapist relationship, replacing those with which the patient comes to ask for help. So I just see this as this understanding that we have to have, that whoever comes to us and whoever we come in contact with, whoever we have a relationship with, whoever, it doesn't matter. All are the same. All brothers are one brother. So if and that goes with the, whenever you meet anyone, remember it's a holy encounter. And what you see in him, you see in yourself. What you love in him, you love in yourself. Don't leave anyone without giving him your blessing, which basically just says recognize your oneness. So the symptoms of that recognition of oneness is what brings about healing. And I would love to hear what anybody else has to say about this. Okay, Rafi, please go ahead.
Well, it's just another way of really saying that we are all each other's divine mirrors. Everybody is showing what everybody else's consciousness is. And this is, to me, another way of saying it. If you want to know what's going on in your consciousness, look at how the people around you are acting, and you'll know right away. And if they want to know, there you are. Of course, we have the choice, if we're discriminating, if we're discerning, to come from a place of "I love you" rather than automatic reaction.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's it. It's the choice of love or to answer, it's a call for love. So I love that. Thank you, Rafi. Karen, please go ahead.
Thanks, Lynn. I love what you shared, and thanks, Rafi. I love what you shared too. Yeah, I love what you shared about the holy encounter, Lynn. I love that, because as you see him, you will see yourself. As you think of him, you will think of yourself. And never forget this. He tells us, never forget this, because this is how you will find yourself or lose yourself. So this is where the miracle occurs, and it's always with our brother. What really jumped out at me is where he says, but once Christ enters in, and I'm saying, I'll just put in relationship. Once Christ enters in this relationship, what choice is there except to have him stay? There is no need for more than this, for it is everything. Healing is here, and happiness and peace. These are the symptoms of the ideal patient-therapist relationship, replacing those with which the patient came to ask for help. So this is the answer, and this is reminding me of defenselessness, where he says defenselessness is strength. It's the Christ in you. This is our strength. The sickness is the belief in separation. The healing is the undoing of the separation. That is the healing. That is the defenselessness. That is the seeing my brother, dropping all the defenses, dropping my lay your arms down. I mean, all this stuff is like so fresh in my mind, because I just love that characteristic, because it's really how I feel about the Christ. All of them, I feel that way, all the characters. But defenselessness is such a big one, because there's nothing to defend. When you recognize the truth of who you are and you see the truth of who your brother is, there's nothing to defend. And so I'm seeing my brother as the same, as my equal, as you said. And it's this is a daily practice, because in form we see differences, and in form it's easy to judge. And when I can remember the truth, I lay that aside and, look beyond and to the truth. And that helps me, drop the defenses on myself, because that's where it starts. And once I really drop them against myself, it's so much easier not to see him in my brother. Thanks.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you, Karen. Yeah, exactly. And it's a reciprocal situation, because what we don't understand, or what we what we aren't being emphasized right here, but what is really perfectly true, is that when I drop the story and stop being at war in my mind with my brothers, that shifts the world. That shifts everything. Everyone, every brother in the entire sonship is connected and included in that. And so, I always see, Course of Miracles, a lot of Course of Miracles students are like, oh, we have to fix this about the government. We have to fix this about the economy. I want to go out and do this or that, or, try to fix the world. But the only way to really fix the world is to fix my mind about the world. And so this is why we do this practice. We're not just doing this practice because I want to feel better. I'm not anyway. I'm doing this practice because I don't want to see a world at war anymore. I don't want to see a world in fear. I don't want to see a world where there's unfairness and sickness and sadness. I want to see a world that's heaven. That's I just want to see heaven. And I know the only way that that's ever going to happen is for me to forgive my story about the world and let go of all the stories that I have about the things I think I'm seeing. So this is the gift that we have here with this. We are healing the world, and we are healing the sonship through our determination to join. When I decide to join, that brings us into a holy relationship. Isn't that what we were just reading about? Basically, this ideal patient therapist relationship really is a holy relationship, because it's a relationship in which we share the same purpose, and we are focused on the same goal. So, this is, and why wouldn't you want to have a holy relationship with everyone where Christ is there? And exactly as you pointed out, Karen, what is prayer except the joining of minds in a relationship in which Christ can enter? But once Christ enters in, what choice is there except to have him stay? So this is what we want to do. We want to develop these relationships, joining in the mind, and inviting the Christ into our home, into our life, and into our relationship. And if our relationship is based on that, then that holy relationship is actually what begins to shift the world. Anybody else have any thoughts or comments? Karen, yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I didn't get to do generosity today, which I really wanted to, but I'm glad I didn't because I really wanted to savor that characteristic. It's so beautiful, and it talks about this is what it is. It's to give and to receive are the same. So the generosity in generosity, we're seeing our brother as ourself. The generosity, being generous comes from, it's not from getting, it's from giving. And it's recognizing that having and being are the same too. I mean, so it's all about that. So this is really reminding me also of generosity. Thanks.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, and that was a really good talk today. Also, it's like, yeah, Hakeem is right. I mean, I'm not bragging about us, but we do seem to be, I think, coming along pretty well as far as coming into some deeper understanding of, our situation here and what to do about it. Does anybody else have anything on 1 and 2 before we go on to 3? Yeah, Laura, please go ahead.
Yeah, I discovered something that really works for me. I've been dealing with some people, and they're nearby, so I go, this is the lesson I need to learn. Let's do this. And it was helpful for me to see them, my higher self, like behind them, like looking beyond what they do, what they look like, and just see my higher self standing behind. That's where Jesus said something about, would you accuse someone else of doing that? Would you accuse yourself of doing that, right? And I really got that, and boy, does it really works. Luckily, I was gifted with a vision, and this was years before I did A Course in Miracles, when I asked for God to please give me a sign, show me, because I wasn't sure about anything. Is there a God? The vision I had was of myself, but in this glittering outline of myself. I could see it was me. And I got it instinctively that I have to do this myself. I mean, God's here with me, but I need to not just rely and pray to God to do it, but actually do this myself, do the undoing. So in any case, looking beyond a person's body or behavior and seeing them in a holy light, like yourself, your higher self with them was so helpful. So thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Yeah. Oh yeah, that is so helpful. And it really is easy as if you're willing to do it. And that's the hard part, I think, is sometimes, we try to evaluate, does this person really deserve to be seen in golden light?
Right. That's the rub right there. Well, they don't deserve that, Oh, that's so childish when you think about it, though, because we are one. So let's stop. Just stop it, Thanks.
Exactly. I love that. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. Anybody else have anything to say? Rafi, please go ahead.
But just to add on to that, if we're seeing people as separate people, that's coming from an ego point of view, and there's automatic judgment. Automatic. And if we're seeing them as the truth of the divine light, the divine love that they really are, then there is no reaction. And we are one.
Yeah. Simple as that. Simple as that. It's just how you decide to see. And it is a decision. Everybody, we are all making the decision of what we want to see and how we want to see. So it's up to me every single time. It's up to me. And sometimes I don't like that because I would rather it not be my fault that I am upset with somebody. I'd rather it be their fault. But Jesus is pretty clear now. If you're upset about something, that's your own thinking that got you there. So anyway, so let's go on to paragraph 3. Who would like to read paragraph 3 here?
I will.
Thank you, Deb.
Okay. Paragraph 3, the ideal patient-therapist relationship. The process that takes place in this relationship is actually one in which the therapist in his heart tells the patient that all his sins have been forgiven him along with his own. What could be the difference between healing and forgiveness? Only Christ forgives, knowing his sinlessness. His vision heals perception and sickness disappears. I'll repeat, his vision heals perception and sickness disappears. So he's really saying that we don't really see, which is why lesson 20, 21, 27, 28, they all say the same thing. I'm determined to see differently. I mean, so we don't really see. If you're using the body's eyes, you're also using the ego's thought system, and your determination to see things differently, like it says in lesson 28, above all else, I'm determined to see things differently. And if you do this with practice, you start to realize that this soul sitting in front of you this is not who they are. This body, who they are, is the Christ. Only Christ forgives, knowing his sinlessness. His vision heals perception, and sickness disappears. So you're seeing the light, you're seeing spirit, you're seeing as Holy Spirit sees. The Holy Spirit doesn't see bodies, nor will it return again once its cause has been removed. This, however, needs the help of a very advanced therapist capable of joining with the patient in a holy relationship in which all sense of separation finally is overcome. Yeah, it does take practice. Usually, if you think this other person has something going on that you're going to do something for, obviously you're looking at what the ego sees. Oh, well, I'm better than this person, and I can heal this person. No, you can only heal your own mind. And when your mind is healed, you're not healed alone. That's lesson 138. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Dove. Yeah, thank you for all of that. So yeah, the whole idea is that uh, the only thing that we really need to do is look at whoever, and it's really everybody. It's not just, some certain people that we know and love, or people that came to us to ask for help, or people that it's everybody. This is a relationship that you have to learn to have with everyone. And how could you uh tell everyone in your heart uh that their sins are forgiven? uh from my heart I see that you are sinless. From my heart I see that you are uh goodness, love, the Christ. From my heart I see you this way, because if I don't see you this way in my heart, then I'm not able to help you or myself, because that just means I'm willing to have barriers between us. I'm willing to have you be different than me. If I'm seeing you with this love in my heart, then I'm seeing you as equal and the same as myself, and not being a separate person out there, and something that is not just something that I care about, but I couldn't live without. That without you, I am bereft. If I'm loving you in my heart, you become a part of me. And, we're not talking about healing of the body in any way at all. We're talking about healing of the mind and remembering the truth of who we are. That's why once we have let go of all the things that are preventing us from seeing that my brother is sinless, then like you let go of all those things, then they'll never come back because they're gone. But if I hold any bit of anything against you, forgiveness can't occur, and we can never be free. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. That was beautiful. And it is seeing the same interests. It's seeing my brother as the same, and everything you said. And to add to that, I like how he says the process. The process takes place in this relationship. The process that takes place in this relationship is actually one in which the therapist, in his heart, tells the patient that all his sins have been forgiven him along with his own. And this is the process. This is the ideal patient therapist relationship. And this is the process of psychotherapy, which is the process of forgiveness. And so, what's coming to me right now is that, I cannot see my brother as the same unless I'm in the holy instant. Okay. Because if I'm not seeing him as he is in this moment, I'm thinking about the past and I'm judging him from the past. I have I'm saying that because that's how I'm working on this with someone right now in my complex where I live. And there's this one guy that, I noticed that I'm judging. And so we have a parking lot here that does not have designated parking, and there's not enough parking as it is. And they're working on getting it straightened out with some, stickers and stuff that we're supposed to get that haven't been updated, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so he has like 5 different vehicles and he parks them wherever he wants and he takes up parking spots. That's one grievance. That's one. The other grievance is he works at 7-Eleven and he works like an 11 to 7 shift. He'll come home at like real early in the morning, like 7 in the morning. And he brings all this old food that they throw out and he just throws it out on the grass, like for the birds and the and the squirrels. And it really bothers me. It's like, what are you doing? You know, like if people walk here, you know, this is like not, you don't, this is not, if you're going to do it up. I'm telling him what he should do in my mind. Right. Anyway. So I'm having grievances against this guy. And so, now he has two trucks parked up at the upper lot and somebody busted his window. And I was almost happy. It's horrible. I'm being honest. I was almost happy, but I wasn't, you know. I was just like, you know, wow, you know, like somebody, this has been a problem and we've had here. People have been busting into people's cars and they busted into his car and some things were stolen out. But so I can't, when I see him, I can't see him as myself, as my capital S self, unless I'm in the holy instant, not thinking about the past and not judging what he did or what I think he did or what I think he should do, you know, or anything like that. I have to be present in this holy instant and forget about the past. And I'm going to read the quote that helps me, that I love. Really, I read this every day. The holy instant is the Holy Spirit's most useful learning device for teaching you love's meaning, for its purpose is to suspend judgment entirely. And I can do that in this instant. And it's a process because I have to practice it, you know, and practicing it is being vigilant, you know, against the ego. So it's something that I'm working on with this guy. And it's not the guy. It's something unhealed in me. You know, I'm projecting it onto him and I'm blaming him for something that I'm not healed with, but it's showing up in form in these things that he's doing he's playing his part perfectly because he's definitely triggering me. So they're there to reveal to me my mistaken beliefs that I'm working on. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, I love that. That's exactly what we're talking about. That's exactly what Jesus is talking about here. That guy and whatever it is that he's doing. And I was thinking, you know, imagine, and I know that this has happened to everybody in their life, that there was somebody that they were annoyed with, that they didn't like, that did things they didn't like or whatever. And then something happened that shifted your relationship. You saw something about them, or if something occurred that, you know, you saw them in a different light. And when you see them in a different light, you begin to see them in a different way. And when you see them in a different way, you become affectionate toward them, or you begin to care about them because you recognize your connection to them. And by recognizing that connection to them, you begin to love them. And then you shift to where you laugh then about, oh my gosh, remember how I was so mad about you, you know, parking over here? And remember how, oh my gosh, you know, you're sitting around, you know, on a Sunday afternoon watching football and drinking some beers and talking about how silly it used to be when you were so angry with them for, you know, whatever reason it was. This is the shift that comes about when we choose to see through in a different point of view. Laura, please go ahead.
Yeah, Karen, it's a great opportunity for us to look at our stuff. And as I said, I was having an issue with somebody, oddly enough, next door. And no, I had to do this because it was bothering me so much. And I looked at it and you know what? It's boundaries somewhere in my life. Boundaries have been crossed, and I just got to a point where I'm not going to let that happen anymore. But it's so much better what I did is go over and say hello and touch base with them. And this problem is not there anymore. I went over there, you know, bringing my higher self with me, you know, and just just remembered to see everyone's higher self, but my own as well, and communicate because we are one. So I've looked past body and everything and just communicated. So it was really helpful. That's what I've learned to do is if there is a problem to look first within and see what the problem is. Unloading that baggage feels so good. So I just wanted to offer that. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Wow, yeah, that's great. Honestly, I mean that this it just is so simple. It's a matter of choice. So and then the rest of the time, we think somebody else is doing something to us, and that's I mean the whole world is just full of I hit you and you hit me, and when we stop doing that, it shifts everything. So thank you, thank you, thank you for that. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Laura. That was so awesome. Thank you so much. And you said something that really helped me, and that is to go talk to him. Go talk to him. And now you just made me look at something that I have been working on. This stems from not talking about my feelings and what's bothering me. And this is something that I actually shared today that, was a pattern in my marriage, and it actually led to divorce because things built up to the point they got so bad that finally this one thing was the last straw, and it ended up being this big explosive argument over something. If you want to look at hierarchies, there was a hierarchy. It was something I thought was really, really big. But anyway, long story short, talking to him would solve the problem because it's first of all dropping the separation, seeing him as my brother, talk to him as my brother, seeing him from a loving space, and just talking to him in with respect and with love, not with defenses, dropping the defenses, and just talking to him about how I feel about what he's doing. And that's beautiful, Laura. That you just really, I didn't think about that. To be honest with you, I never thought about it till you shared that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen. Wow, yeah. And you were talking about him bringing food home and throwing it around for the animals, I was thinking, not he must have watched food get thrown away day after day and just said, I can't stand to see this food go to waste, and I want to use it for something. And so, his thought was bring it home and throw it in the area for animals. And that might not have been the wisest choice, but it was a choice that was made out of love. I mean, if you think about it, he thinks he's doing the loving thing. So I mean, that's what we have to understand. Everybody's trying to do the right thing. Oh my gosh. Anybody else have anything on this? This is so fun, right? It's just all about, the simple rules for life that could help us so much. Let's just go on to paragraph 4. Would anybody like to read paragraph 4?
I'll read it if you allow me.
I would. Here we go.
First and foremost, I'd like to apologize to the group for being late, trying to cut things close, trying to listen to those tapes by what's his name, Goldsmith, and it just runs right into this, and then I run over here. So my apologies for being late. And before I read 4, I got to tell my sister from another mister, Miss Karen, I absolutely love that story. I love that story. As much as I love ACIM, I still do steps 10 and 11 every night, and it just keeps me traveling light. So you might want to take a look at that. Keeps you free. Paragraph 4. For this one thing and one thing only is required. The therapist in no way confuses himself with God. All unhealed healers make this fundamental confusion in one form or another because they must regard themselves as self-centered rather than God created. Nice visual. This confusion is rarely, if ever, in awareness, or the unhealed healer would instantly become a teacher of God, devoting his life to the function of true healing. Before he reached this point, he thought he was in charge of the therapeutic process and was therefore responsible for its outcome. His patient's errors thus became his own failures, and guilt became the cover, dark and strong, for what should be the holiness of Christ. Guilt is inevitable in those who use their judgments in making their decisions. Guilt is impossible in those through whom the Holy Spirit speaks. Oh, you know me, I absolutely love that. Guilt is impossible in those through whom the Holy Spirit speaks. You know, the thing I get from that, Lynn, is that, if I'm blocked with my own stuff, Holy Spirit ain't coming through. And even if it does, I can't hear it because I'm full of my stuff. So that's really an awakening there. It's true. Believe me, I've seen the difference. It's I need to be open, available, and present for the Holy Spirit to be able to come through. He can be there, but if I'm full of me, I'll never know. So that's one of the first things that jumps out at me. The other thing that jumped out at me is that sentence where it says, let's see, unhealed. All unhealed healers make the fundamental confusion in one form or another because they must regard themselves as self-centered, self-created, rather than God-created. And I definitely want to be, I say every day, as God created me. So that does make a decision, not only in your perception, but the actions that follow, if you're small self-created. So we may want to get God created on that 7-Eleven guy there. This is the confusion, rarely of awareness, unhealed. Healing instantly becomes the teacher of God, devoting his life to the function of true healing. Yeah, I think I'm gonna listen to some of you ACIM professionals on this one. I had some ideas, but they're from my head, they're not from my heart. So I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead.
I think you did just perfect, Rico. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, this is it. You know, first when I read that, where it says, that uh, it's as long as you don't confuse yourself with God. I just know Jesus is just laughing his ass off at us because, yes, how often do I confuse myself with God and think that somehow I know something and I'm going to show you or help you or figure this out for you. And I don't even stop to ask the Holy Spirit to help me out with it, just because I think I know. And he's saying, just stop that because you cannot interpret any better than the Holy Spirit can. And in fact, if you try, you get yourself in your own way. And that's it. And once you do that, then you're going to necessarily feel guilty. Why? Because you have made your own decision and haven't allowed the Holy Spirit to be in charge. And big mistakes come from that. So wow, I love this. Uh, Anybody else have any thoughts about this? Yeah, Karen, please.
Yeah, Lan, you got that right. Big mistakes come from that. And I love this where he says, for this one thing and one thing only is required. I mean, he really, emphasizes that very strongly. The therapist in no way confuses himself with God. I mean, that is just really perfect because you're right. It really comes down to stepping back and letting him lead the way because those early lessons too are helpful. And I don't know what anything is for, and I don't know my own best interest. So how am I going to know what someone else's best interest is if I don't even know what my own are? And I can't know anything unless I ask the Holy Spirit because I don't know the whole picture. And that's why we need to ask. That's why I need to ask because when I think I know something, that's when I have to say, I don't know. As soon as I say I know, I don't know. And I also love the point that Rico pointed out. I love those two sentences. Guilt is inevitable in those who use their judgment in making their decisions. Guilt is impossible in those through whom the Holy Spirit speaks. And the guilt is the unforgiving thoughts for me. You know, the guilt stems from the belief in separation. So the guilt is that unforgiveness, the unforgiving thought. And he tells us that those unforgiving thoughts protect projection. So this unforgiving thought that I have, there's something unhealed in me that that needs to be healed. And my brother is showing me myself. My brother is actually my mirror showing me what my unhealed beliefs are. And that I am very grateful for. So full appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Karen, too. Yeah, and yeah, that's all you can do is just be in full appreciation of learning that and seeing that. Wow. Anybody else have any comments or thoughts on, this is obviously, Jesus is telling us because he knows that we are doing this and knows that I'm doing it. That's for sure. So yeah, it's before I start, it's again like always we always say let's like on the airplane when they tell you when the mask drops down, put it on yourself first before you try to save somebody else's life. And that's it. We need to put the mask on ourselves first, and we need to be sure that we're going to survive before we start trying to tell other people or help other people survive uh, or learn or grow or anything. So and yeah, I love that. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share? I thought I saw a hand up. Okay, maybe it was just a smiley something. All right, let's look at paragraph 5 then. Who would like to read paragraph 5?
I'll read it.
Laura, please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay. The passing of guilt is the true aim of therapy and the obvious aim of forgiveness. In this, their oneness can be clearly seen. Yet who could experience the end of guilt who feels responsible for his brother in the role of guide for him? Such a function presupposes a knowledge that no one here can have, a certainty of past, present, and future, and of all the effects that may occur in them. Only from this omniscient, I can't say that word very well, omniscient point of view would such a role be possible. Yet no perception is omniscient, nor is the tiny self of one alone against the universe able to assume he has such wisdom except in madness. That many therapists are mad is obvious. No unhealed healer can be wholly sane. I love this. And this is exactly what I was just saying, is that I do not know the whole picture. I cannot judge anything because I don't know. I have no idea. I cannot see the past, the present, the future, and all of the effects that may occur in them, and that's why we can't judge anything. And that's why for me, I know that the Holy Spirit is the answer because the Holy Spirit sees, he first of all looks beyond all of that. He looks beyond all the judgments. The Holy Spirit doesn't see any of that. All the appearances are nothing. They're nothing to him. So, the Holy Spirit looks and sees everything the same. And that is the only way I can do it is with the Holy Spirit. But that the passing, I like the first sentence, the passing of guilt is the true aim of therapy and the obvious aim of forgiveness. So we always go back to the guilt. We were talking about that today. It's always the guilt that we have to look at. For me, I have to look at those unforgiving thoughts. What am I still holding on to? What do I think I'm right about? What don't I want to let go of? And really, really be honest with myself. I think this is really important, and I don't mind sharing things that they sound horrible, but it's like, this is the stuff that I need to look at, and the judgments I don't think are ever going to go away. I honestly, that's how I feel right now. Like, I feel like as long as I'm in this physical form, I'm going to have judgments. I think it takes a lot of practice not to have judgments. I think the key for me is catching them. And the sooner that I catch them, the better. And when I notice them and I look at them, and it's the looking, that's the forgiveness, the first step in forgiveness is the looking, but that looking with the gentleness, that's the key for me. And that's the big change that has occurred for me and that I'm so grateful for, because I never really knew how to look without judgment. So that's the key for me. And once I do that, it's kind of home free from there. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you for that, Karen. Wow, that was awesome. Because yes, that it's we just don't know how to look without judgment until we are shown how and learn how to do it. And then, we have to practice, practice, practice. Yeah, thank you. Sharon, please go ahead.
Yeah, what Karen shared, I loved. When there's layers of the consciousness. So when we are, judging, we give it to Holy Spirit. And if you realize maybe a little while after, there'll be another judgment coming up. These judgments are coming up from the ego. They're not who we are. So we can look at them and not even react. And though, of course, we all know that when we put our attention on it, it becomes real. So it is probably a lifelong thing, unless you're blessed enough where the ego, just completely becomes completely balanced, because I don't know that it falls away. I think it just gets balanced. But I mean, it's the judgment, the layers of it. Like, I'll go through something and feel great, and then I can feel another layer coming up, and it comes up in a different form, but it's all the same. It's all about hate, even though it looks like it's not hate, because we're just saying, well, he shouldn't have done that, but it is hate. Because every judgment is hate. It has to be, because that's what the ego thought system is. Yeah, we do have love, and I think some of us have more right-mindedness than others. But in the end, I think that's a good assessment, Karen, that you realize that it could be, your lifetime. And this is a lifetime process. So, because I think even when you have these major shifts, there's still more to come. Anything that I've ever watched when it comes to awakening is that people say it's an ongoing process. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharon. And yes, it is an ongoing process, because I think that if you didn't have anything more to forgive, you probably wouldn't be here or be in this form. At least if you were here, if we gave up, if we forgave everything. So yeah, it is an ongoing process as long as we believe that the world is real. It will continue to manifest in front of us as long as we continue to manifest it. I mean, it's just it's a
Well, Lynn, what's so funny? When you shared before, it really got deeper in me. Like, if I don't forgive that, it's going to come up in a different form. It has to, because these are lessons. So it does, it does benefit us to really look at it, not just say I forgive, look at it. Because when you really look at it, you realize, I don't want that. And for me, sometimes I'm just unconscious, because that's what the ego is. So I'll just go, it doesn't matter. I just don't like, blah, blah, blah. Well, it does matter, because those thoughts carry energy, and there you go. I'm back in the hell again. So there you go.
Yep. And actually, they're not unconscious. We're conscious of them, but we reject that consciousness, and that's why we feel guilty. If we didn't know, if it was completely hidden from us, and we didn't know that there was something, we would never feel guilty about it. But the fact is, we actually do know that it's there.
You know what? You're right. You're right.
We feel guilty about
So
it.
then we have to laugh. We have to
yeah.
laugh, because you know what? The whole point, and I get this from Ken Wapnick more than anyone, do not take this process seriously, not ever. That's the problem, because you will mess up, and then you can laugh rather than hear the ego shrieking, telling us that we're losers.
Exactly. Thank you, Sharon. Rafi, please go ahead, and then Karen has her hand up too.
Yeah, I just want to extend a little bit on what Sharon was saying about hate. The last few days, I've been going deeper and deeper and finding an enormous amount of hate that I didn't even, it was subconscious. I managed to make it conscious. But if I want, for instance, somebody's approval, whether I'm in contact with them or not, that's hate. There's the automatic ego thing about I hate that I don't have their approval, or I hate that I want their approval. I hate, I hate, I hate. Hate is a feeling. You can welcome the feeling. What I was doing was just loving the hate and loving the hate and letting it go and loving the hate. Yes, hate. I love you. I love you. I love you. I know. And because underneath the hate is that fear that comes from the fear of separation, that somehow they're not what I am. And again, that's judgment, and judgment is automatic disapproval or hate. And but if I get in touch with that feeling instead of ignoring it or glossing over it or trying to distract myself from, just go where the hate is and love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, and let it go. And it's been so clarifying. I didn't see it before, but when I did see it, I went after it with everything I had, and it just worked well. You use the term from this course, it worked a miracle.
That is awesome, Rafi. Good catch. Absolutely good catch on that because yes, oh my gosh, I'm doing it to myself. Oh, that is just and yeah, it's that looking at my brother as if he were something different and we were not equal. That is harmful. That is hurtful, and it is not loving. And of course, you're going to feel guilty when you're doing that. Even if you think your brother, you think he's better than you. Same thing. I'm looking at him. We're not equal. We're not the same, and that that hate is the only response to that. That's the ego's only response to that. Oh my gosh. Karen, please go ahead.
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you so much, Rafi and Sharon. What you both just shared was so right on because you can't gloss over it and you can't ignore it because, like Sharon said, it will show up in a different form. It will always come back. And what this is bringing me to is in the very last chapter, in the very last section, choose once again. He says, trials are but lessons that you failed to learn, presented once again. So where you made a faulty choice before, you now can make a better one and thus escape all pain that what you chose before has brought to you. So in every difficulty, all distress, and each perplexity, Christ calls to you and gently says, my brother, choose again. That's how simple it really is. And but the hard part is the looking sometimes, you know sometimes it's like it would be easier not to look. It would be easier, like Rafi said, it would be easier to gloss over it sometimes I just don't want to look at it, but that's the work, that's the part, that's the practice, looking at the hate, looking at the unforgiveness, looking at because it's only a reflection of what I still hate about myself. And that's what needs to be healed. So it's a beautiful thing to hear, that it's how important forgiveness is. This whole course is about forgiveness. This whole psychotherapy pamphlet is about forgiveness. The process of psychotherapy is the process of forgiveness. And that's what we're learning here. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Karen. And yes, and this is what's so beautiful about this, that we have this opportunity to be here and to share and to hear, like, all the things that Rafi said, like it's for the first time in my mind, it's going bing, 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 and that we can talk about it then reinforces it so that I remember the next time that I don't fall into that same hole again. And that's the beauty of this group. That's the beauty of this work that we're doing. I think it just is so beautiful. So does anybody else have anything on paragraph 5? If not, we'll go in paragraph 6. Laura, did you want to read? Thank
Sure.
you.
Yet it is as insane not to accept a function God has given you as to invent one he has not. The advanced therapists in no way can ever doubt the power that is in him, nor does he doubt its source. He understands all power in earth and heaven belongs to him because of who he is. And he is this because of his creator, whose love is in him and who cannot fail. Think what this means. He has the gifts of God himself to give away. His patients are God's saints who call upon his sanctity to make it theirs. And as he gives it to them, they behold Christ's shining face as it looks back at them. Yeah, his patients are God's saints. And are the people in our life who we have grievances with are our saints. They're our saviors. If we can truly see them for who they are, then it releases us. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Yes. Yeah, and I love again here he's laughing at us. It is as insane not to accept a function God has given you as to invent one he has not. But he's telling us you made up your own function here. You think you're here for some reason. And did you ever think to ask, what am I really here for? What is the point of me being here? So I love that. But the I love this that the advanced therapist in no way can ever doubt the power that is in him. I just would like to for just a moment have everyone just think about that and imagine that. What is this power that's within me that is so strong and so real that it can stead me through anything. I will never forget God because this power is in me. And it's such a great power that it's in you as well, and that we share it together. That is so um, beautiful. And when you were reading that, I was thinking about a time in my life when I had kind of a revelation experience, and of course, I was you know you may doubt the quality of the revelation when I tell you this, but I was tripping on acid, and I was in the bathroom at my mother's house, and we lived in an old farmhouse. It was an old farmhouse. It had a little bathroom with a bathtub. There was no shower, and uh, I was uh, had gone in there, because I was kind of having a little bit of mental difficulty. I was kind of freaking out a little bit. So I went in the bathroom, and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and my eyes looked so huge, and I was like, I was really freaking out. And so I sat down, like, on the toilet, not on the, like but just close the lid down, and I just sat down there, and I just thought, what if this is it when I'm all alone and there's nothing else here, and this thing that I call God my whole life didn't really ever exist, was never even here. I was really freaking out, and it came just over me, just so it was like an angel came into that room and wrapped his arms around me and held me, and I felt so loved and so embraced and so sure that God was right here. And that when that came to me, it came to me, you will never forget this. you will never forget this again. And I knew right then that no matter whatever happened, no matter anything, any situation in my life, I would always remember that love of God. And so I love that that he's talking about, we would never doubt the power that's in us if we knew it was there. And the only way that we can know it is there is to look for it. And is I love that, our patients are God's saints who call on us on our sanctity to make it theirs. That we give our sanctity to them. We give our surety to them. And yeah, Rafi, that was my angel for sure. From my whole life. I've known that angel my whole life. That's this angel I have. Oh, you can't see this angel that's behind me, but it's that same thing. But yeah, if I know that that's here and that's who I am, then absolutely, wherever I go and whatever I experience, he's there with me. Never, never not. And that is such a gift. And I think everyone has experienced something like that. And I would wish that, just as a practice, you pull that back to you and remember it, and pull that back to you and remember it. Always pull it back to you and remember it, because that's what reinforces it in yourself, that this is your reality, that this is not just, something that happened because I happened to be tripping. I had a lot of things happen to me when I took acid. I took a lot of acid when I was young. So if you ever wonder how Lynn's brain got so creeped up, there it is. At least I was thinking one time, at least over 500 times. And sometimes almost every day for, months at a time. And I don't even know why. Just, it was available, and I really loved that just connected feeling that I had. Anyway, I'm not rapturizing over acid. Anybody have anything to say about this? I know I took us way off track. Well, let's look then at paragraph.
Karen has her hand up.
Oh, she does. I didn't see that. Oh, Karen, go ahead, hon.
Thanks, Rafi. Thanks, Lynn. That was so beautiful. Thank you. I could picture the whole thing while you were sharing it, and how scared you must have been at first, looking in the mirror and seeing your eyes so big. I've been on acid before, and it can be scary at times. Oh my gosh, I could just feel the whole thing that you were going through, and that was so beautiful. I just want to comment on this sentence that you pointed out. The advanced therapist in no way can ever doubt the power that is in him, nor does he doubt its source. I mean, that is just everything right there. The advanced therapist, this is the Holy Spirit, inner teacher, higher self, and the source is God. And, the thing is, for me, it took a lot of practice to get in touch with it, because my ego was so strong before I came into A Course in Miracles that I really wasn't in touch with the Holy Spirit. I mean, you said, when you don't make decisions with God, with the Holy Spirit, you make big mistakes. You can make big mistakes. And trust me, I did. And I think we all did. And that's why it's trusting the Holy Spirit. And the way I trust the Holy Spirit is in knowing that I don't know, and I leave that space. It's leaving that space when the ego wants to creep in and think that it knows. I know it's not true. Like I said, when I say I know I don't. So it's just leaving that space. And that is the power, that is the truth. It's just so peaceful. And It's as natural as breathing. He says, when you decide with God, it's as natural as breathing. It is our true self. It is our true nature. You know, when a miracle occurs naturally, when it doesn't happen, something has gone wrong. So it's really, for me, it's practicing being vigilant against those ego thoughts and not believing them. Like what Rafi did was perfect and beautiful, you know, and you know, I love you. I love you. Not being judgmental and being hard on myself, and but loving those thoughts, embracing their thoughts because they're not true, you know, and then they melt away. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Yeah, wow. Uh, just loving this. Sharon, please go ahead.
I just love what Karen just said, because at the end she said, because they're not true. We, or me, when I'm thinking and I don't do that, I'm believing they're true. I'm believing, oh, that's me. But when she said that, it just went deeper. That is the whole thing. Not one thought here is true, but we believe they're real, and we believe we're real, the person, and everything here is real. And that's where we really just have to be with the moment and realize that the only thing that's true is that moment, is the now. Everything else, we have to just kind of like just laugh at it, because Karen, when you said that to me, it just seemed to get through to me where, you know, and that happens.
Sharon, you muted yourself.
Oh, I'm saying, of course, I'm making all these things real. Yeah, stop it, stop it. We have well, Larry, that's on Saturdays, he used to always say that in Gather, stop it, stop it, stop it. That's it. It's so an addiction that it's ridiculous.
Thank you, Sharon. Yeah. And I love Larry. Still comes on Saturday, you know, and he does that. So Saturday morning, he's here every Saturday. So, um, and I would have him more often if we had more time. Let's see. Okay, so we wanted to go on and look at, uh, let's see, Laura, you just read paragraph 7, right?
I think it was 6, wasn't it? Oh, wait a
Was it-
minute. I did. The
Yeah, it was
insane
6.
thing. Yeah.
It was 6.
It was 6. Okay, okay. I don't know how I got there. Okay, there we go. So does anyone else have anything to say about this paragraph 6? And again, I just urge you to remember to look at this and realizing that Jesus is really chuckling away when when he's telling this stuff, because I love that first sentence. It is as insane not to accept a function God has given you as to invent one he has not. Either way, you're crazy. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's good. Okay, let's look at paragraph 7 then. Um, okay, who would like to read paragraph 7?
I'll take it.
Thank you, Rafi.
The insane, thinking they are God, are not afraid to offer weakness to God's Son. But what they see in him because of this, they fear indeed. The unhealed healer cannot be fearful of his patients and suspect them of the treachery he sees in them. He tries to heal, and thus at times he may, but he will not succeed except to some extent and for a little while. He does not see the Christ in him who calls. What answer can he give to one who seems to be a stranger, alien to the truth, and poor in wisdom, without the God who must be given him? Behold your God in him, for what you see will be your answer. And we go right back to, if you see the divine presence in everyone, and you're seeing them correctly. And if you think any other way, you're coming from a mind, and that's judgment, and that's trouble.
Thank you, Rafi. Yeah, as you were reading this, it reminded me of a lecture that I heard of Carl Rogers. one time. Carl Rogers is a psychologist, and Bill Thetford was a student of him, and so was Marshall Rosenberg. He was the one who coined the idea of unconditional positive regard, that as a therapist, your duty, your job was to see your patient with unconditional positive regard, meaning that you have a positive thought about him, no matter what the condition of him, no matter what he says, no matter what he does, no matter what he did, no matter what you think he's going to do, any thoughts that you have about your patient that are seeing him as being less, and for me, less than the Christ, uh, is what's going to keep the therapist from being able to hear the patient, and for the patient to be able to communicate to the therapist. So, if you're judging your patient, and you're, looking at their different, uh, what's missing, that you're diagnosing them as being less than whole. Um, you're putting conditions on them that are putting you in a situation where y- you can't be a real therapist. And Carl Rogers talked about, he taught his students this. He he worked with his students to practice this, and then he had audio tapes of his students who were then working with patients as therapists. And he said it was so frustrating because they completely forgot everything he told them about how to approach their patients. They completely forgot everything he told them, and were and you could hear in the tapes, how the therapist was judging the patient. And I realized that, it's not just happening to people who are doing A Course in Miracles. And there are a lot of unhealed healers out there that are uh, uh, being not really good therapists. Rafi, please go ahead.
This business about forgetting is not unusual. Ego makes you forget. That's one of its processes. That's why in the release technique and the Sedona method, at night we write what we call it, what we do at any time of day. We have these gains books. You write down the gains that you had that day, because being ego is going to make you forget it. So then you can go back and refer to them anytime you want. Remember the progress that you're making, and when you are aligned with the truth and not aligned with that ego mind, because that's one of its tricks, make you forget all the good stuff and just focus on what's suffering, where's the lack, where's the limitation, where's the disappointment, where's the failure, that's its function. So that's not surprising at all, this forgetting business.
Yeah, you're absolutely. Well, the ego doesn't want to remember, because if we remember, then it will have no place to go. Karen, please go ahead.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The ego does forget, and he tells us in the course, my brothers are forgetful. We always forget because the ego is very resistant. I'm just looking at the purpose of psychotherapy for a minute. That's the very first section we read. And he says very simply, the purpose of psychotherapy is to remove the blocks to truth. And then a little lower, he says, God has given everyone a teacher, capital T, whose wisdom and help far exceed whatever contributions an earthly therapist can provide. So over and over, we're being told that
Karen, you're dropping out.
I'm sorry, can you hear me?
It sounds like you're in a tin can all of a sudden, far away. To me, it sounded like that. I don't know about anybody else.
Is it still like that? Is it still like that?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'll log out and get back in. Just a couple of
Okay. All right. Does anybody else have anything that they'd like to share? I don't know, Karen, maybe switch your mic. You were sounding fine before that. I don't know what happened. Okay, well, we're almost to the end of the hour. So, and we still have two more paragraphs here. Um, so do we want to go ahead and read paragraph 8? Or look again. Let me just look again at 7 because I just saw this. The unhealed healer cannot but be fearful of his patients and suspect them of the treachery he sees in them. And so that's really why we have the kind of relationships that we have now with people, is because we are fearful of them and we suspect them of treachery. So, and that comes about because what? The world tells us that, people are treacherous. So, we have to get over that and recognize that that's just a story we made up about our innocent brother. So anybody else have anything on paragraph 7? Rafi, please go ahead.
I just want to expand on what you said. Most people that you meet are really nice. They're doing what they do because they think their way, because they think that's what they're supposed to be doing. But they'll hold the door for you when you're walking into a store. They'll maybe move so you can park your. Most people are really, really very nice. Um, and ego will tell you no, they're the enemy. If they don't love you and give you money, they're terrible. And you got to be careful of them, and you got to hate them, and you got to be on guard because they could kill you any minute. But that's all that crap that runs in that ego mind. But if you just look around you, you'll see that most people are really nice. Don't you like your neighbors? Don't you like the lady who works behind the counter at the store that checks out your groceries? Everybody's really nice. And I just look at this and you talk about having to laugh. I mean, the insanity is, well, yeah, laughable. Okay, never mind.
I think it's insane, Rico. Rafi. Rico, please go ahead.
We're identical twins, so it's okay. Get us mixed
I
up.
know.
I just wanted to note something here. It's amazing. Always, I didn't get introduced to ACIM until I had retired, and I'm really wish I hadn't. There's a lot of stuff there that comes up, and I look back over my professional career. One of the things is I was an administrator for one of the largest treatment centers in Los Angeles County, and we dealt with addiction, alcoholism, and co-occurring disorders. And we had some therapists and some counselors on staff that you could tell by the way they relate to the clients that had some unresolved issues. And when you talk to them, they try to hide it, and then eventually they come clean. I'm a pretty good convinced anyway that it's safe in this environment to talk to me so I can better understand what you're doing. So when I do your performance evaluation, I'll take that in consideration. So then they put all the marbles on the table. But the point being, you could tell who they are because of the way they interact with the clients. The clients were below them, they were less than, they were always yelling, and the client was always wrong. As soon as I see that, I know you got some stuff that you need to deal with. This is not the client, this is a reflection. A lot of that has become very clear to me since I got introduced to ACIM. So I thank all of you guys for your share, your wisdom, your experience, your knowledge that you so graciously share that with me. I really am very grateful that I got introduced to you guys. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Rico. And yes, me too. Geez whiz. I was a business person, and believe me, I wish I had known a lot of this stuff then too, because I would have been a lot better to my staff. I'd have been a lot better to myself, and I probably wouldn't have got fired the last 3 jobs I got fired from because I was I didn't even realize I was awful, but I thought I was really great. So I know it's hard to imagine. I know it's hard to imagine, but it's true. I have a real way about me, and people who worked with me before probably will not recognize that. My trying to get my one boss, he called me his pit bull. I was his pit bull because if he needed something to done or somebody needed, he would send me because he knew I would not let go until I got what I wanted. And so yeah, I was pretty crazy back at those days, but I thought that's what you had to do. And I thought as a woman in business and society, you just had to prove yourself that you weren't gonna crumple or fall apart. And so but I know I ruined a lot of people's days. I'm good days back in those times. I don't regret it because I would never have got where I am now. So that's the way it is.
I
So
can't even see you that way, but
I know. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't even know if I have any pictures back
you
in
know
the
what, though, we all had mean periods because I was like that with my ex-husband.
yeah.
Very
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think I was being mean. I thought I was just being forceful or being, strong,
I
you
just
know.
thought he deserved it. That was all.
Yeah. So there we go. We all got our reasons. All right, you guys. Thank you all so much. I love you all. And we'll be back
I'm
tomorrow.
just telling the truth.
That was great, Cher. I love it.
It is hilarious. So yeah, so we'll see some of y'all tomorrow. I think Dove and Suzanne are not on in the morning because Suzanne is still on a holiday. So we'll figure out something early in the morning and we will see.